Have you ever witnessed a moment so unexpected, so heart-stopping, that it made you question everything you thought you knew about people? That's exactly what happened to the CEO of a powerful company one ordinary afternoon, when she stumbled upon the janitor in the company lobby, surrounded by buckets, and her deaf twin sitting right beside him, smiling in a way she hadn't seen in years. What happened in the kitchen later would change her life forever. Stick with me until the end, because this story will not only touch your heart but also leave you with a message you'll never forget. And before we dive in, if you believe stories like these deserve to be heard, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. Now, let's begin. Claire Reynolds was the kind of woman who had built her empire with grit and sleepless nights. As CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech company, her reputation was one of sharp edges and impossible standards. But beneath the power suits and stern expressions, there was a part of her life she rarely let the world see: her 7-year-old twin daughters, Emily and Grace. The girls were born deaf, a reality Claire had accepted with pain and resilience. She loved them with everything she had, but being both a mother and a CEO was a storm she hadn't yet figured out how to weather. Her daughters struggled with communication outside their small circle, and though Claire had provided the best tutors and therapists money could buy, something was missing. Emily and Grace rarely smiled. They never seemed to connect with the world, and that broke Claire's heart. She wanted to give them the universe, but it felt like she couldn't even give them joy. One late afternoon, Claire left her corner office early to surprise the girls, who often waited in the lobby with their nanny. But when she stepped off the elevator, what she saw stopped her in her tracks. There, sitting on the shiny marble floor, was Thomas, the company janitor. He had turned empty paint buckets upside down, arranging them like drums. With 2 pencils in his hands, he began tapping out rhythms, soft, steady beats that echoed in the room. Emily and Grace, sitting cross-legged beside him, had their little palms pressed against the buckets. Their eyes were wide, their lips curved into smiles brighter than Claire had ever seen. They could feel the rhythm through the vibrations. Claire froze. For the first time in so long, her daughters looked alive, engaged, connected to something beyond silence. She felt a lump rise in her throat. This wasn't just play. This was magic. At first, she felt a surge of anger. Why was the janitor with her daughters? Where was the nanny? But that emotion was quickly silenced by what her heart was screaming: look at them. Just look at them. Thomas noticed her standing there, embarrassed, and started to apologize. I'm sorry, ma'am. They looked so bored waiting, and I thought maybe they'd like to. But Claire raised her hand, her voice breaking. Don't stop. For the next 10 minutes, she watched her girls laugh and tap along with Thomas. When they clapped their hands and mimicked his rhythms, something stirred inside her. It wasn't just the soundless drumming, it was hope. That night, Claire couldn't stop thinking about it. Her daughters had never responded so strongly to any lesson, therapy, or expensive program. But a janitor with a few buckets had reached them in a way no one else could. The next day, she asked Thomas to meet her in the staff kitchen. What she heard there stopped her cold. Thomas told her his story. He had been a drummer once, even touring small venues with a band. Music was his heartbeat. But when his wife got sick, he gave it all up to work steady jobs and pay medical bills. She passed away 2 years ago, and since then, he had worked quietly as a janitor, keeping to himself, never bringing up his past. But then he noticed Claire's twins. He recognized the loneliness in their eyes because he had seen it in his own reflection after losing his wife. He thought maybe music, through rhythm and vibration, could reach them, even if they couldn't hear. Claire sat there speechless, tears welling in her eyes. A man society overlooked, a man most of her executives didn't even notice, had seen her daughters more clearly than anyone else ever had. Over the following weeks, Thomas began meeting the twins every afternoon. He taught them how to drum with their hands, feel the beat in their bones, and even express emotions through rhythm. Emily, once withdrawn, started clapping to get attention. Grace began tapping rhythms to communicate happiness or sadness. Slowly, the silent world they lived in cracked open, and Claire's heart expanded with it. For the first time in years, she felt less like a CEO and more like the mother her daughters needed. And Thomas? He became more than a janitor. He became a teacher, a mentor, and in many ways, the bridge between silence and expression. But not everyone approved. Some of the board members frowned upon Claire's decision to involve a janitor in her children's development. "You're the CEO," one director warned. "Your reputation can't be tied to an employee sweeping floors." Claire's response was firm.